Reddit fresh. Am I the idiot for not telling my ex-wife all my life details? Background. I have been separated for over a year, and my divorce has been filed but not finalized. COVID still has the courts backed up in my area. This was a relationship that lasted 17 years and 13 years of marriage. We got married young and grew apart. We have 3 children. All 3 were adopted because my ex has fertility issues and we wanted to help children in need. The divorce is amicable, and we are splitting assets and childcare 50-50ths. We have both been seeing other people, and I have had my girlfriend for a substantial amount of time. My current girlfriend, soon-to-be fiancée once the divorce is done, is now pregnant, in the first trimester. I was trying to hold off announcing until the second trimester, but my youngest child, 8-year-old, figured out the secret. So I told my 3 kids that my girlfriend was pregnant and had a talk about it and what that meant for our family. I did not tell my ex as I knew it would hurt her feelings. I did publicly announce through social media on Monday so that my kids had time to process it. On Wednesday, my ex found out, again from my youngest child, and had an emotional breakdown. She freaked out because I did not message her privately before I announced it. She dropped off our children at my house and flew to visit her family on the other side of the country. She is refusing to talk to me now because I should have notified her before telling everyone. We do follow each other on all social media, but both of us check it infrequently. So people of Reddit, am I an idiot for not telling my ex-wife that my current girlfriend is pregnant before my friends and family? I accept your judgment. Edit 1. Okay, so I'm seeing a couple people calling out my vagueness on the timeline. Yes, I was intentionally vague because I didn't want people to be like, well, studies say. So let me add this. I was separated for 6 months before I started dating. Yes, my girlfriend was the first person I dated after divorce. We have worked for the same company for a few years, but at different sites. We only met online meetings and never in person. We met in person in July after I was already separated. I was still fighting to reconcile and she had a boyfriend. We started chatting and just went together. There was absolutely no cheating involved in this story. Edit 2. Seeing quite a few people asking why I didn't tell her. I have moderate anxiety disorder according to my psych, and confrontation is something I struggle with. My ex can come on a little strong, and last week I was ejected from my volunteer position at church until my divorce is finished. So when I announced I was hoping she would see, I didn't really think about how she would feel. Slight on my part, or maybe my social awkwardness. Edit 3. I have taken the majority judgment here and sent this text to my ex. Link would like to apologize for being an idiot. The internet has spoken and the majority have voted that I was an idiot. I will keep you in the loop on major life changes in the future. I have been reading all your comments to keep them coming. I appreciate all the not the idiot comments too. This conversation is definitely divided, but over 1-2 have said I'm an idiot and I accept. Edit 4. Seeing a lot of people struggling to grasp that I did not cheat, so let me settle this. I in no shape or form cheated. I did not even talk to my current girlfriend until after divorce was filed. All we are waiting for is the final stamp. If we did not have children and property, the divorce would have been finished. People who say, oh, they work together. All 3 adults in this story are teachers. My district has over 2,000 employees. We work at different sites and never met in person until July at a conference. I did not even text my girlfriend until I was served papers and my ex started dating. I have never nor will I ever cheat. Everyone I know says that I am one of the most moral people they know. Discussion over no cheating, physical or emotional. If anything, I have feelings that she cheated on me. Edit 5. As a result of apologizing to my ex, I got this reply. I am blocking you for now. If it is an emergency about the kids, please contact my dad until I get home. Update. Ex texted me and we talked. I do think you genuinely freaked out and just mishandled the whole thing and that you are not an actual idiot. You just wear it well sometimes. You're an idiot. And anything about caring about how she felt is BS, or you wouldn't have put it on social media before telling her. And your excuse is BS as well. Nobody would relish a conversation like that, but only an would avoid it with stakes like this. It's cowardly and unkind, and you've got no excuse. You're an idiot. This is not the way to successfully co-parent. You are starting down a bad path of putting your kids in awkward situations because you're a coward. Your kid probably went to mom and was happily chatting away, and then did the emotional equivalent of hitting her own mom with a jackhammer. I'm cringing just thinking about it. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for calling my Mill a terrible mother for uninviting my husband from Easter because of his mental illness? Every year around Easter, my husband and I visit his family for a week or so. We all went to his mother's house with his brother and his 2 young girls, 5 and 7 years old. We've been together 6 years, and it's always been what we've done. Relatively recently, my husband was diagnosed with schizophrenia. He has always had some trouble mentally, but he's absolutely never acted violently or been excessively erratic. He has some auditory hallucinations, but if you didn't know, he'd just seem uncomfortable. When we told his mother, she was a little off-put, but seemed generally supportive. That is, until a few days ago when he was talking to her about our plans for the holidays. Apparently, she just straight admitted she didn't think we should come. She said that our nieces were afraid to have him there, and that they were too young to understand his situation. She thought it would be too much for him and it'd just make everyone uncomfortable, so she thought we should visit some other time. He didn't argue with her. He told me about it that evening. He was clearly upset but didn't say anything, just said that she was probably right. I was freaking pissed. This is where I think I could be an idiot, as he asked him to leave it alone. Today I called her while he was at work. To be honest, I was very mean. I said that it was my brother-in-law's job to teach his children to be tolerant, and they absolutely were old enough to understand. I said if she was willing to ditch her own son like that, she was a rat of a mother, and we didn't want to be there anyway. She called my husband in tears, and now his brother called me to say what an awful person I am, and how hard this all is for her. This whole thing just has my husband depressed, and he's angry at me for saying anything at all. I still think what she did was freaking awful, but she's not my mom. I think I might have just caused my man more grief than if I had just shut up. But it's not fair, and he shouldn't think he deserves that, or that it's reasonable to not want him around. I just feel terrible about everything. Am I the idiot here? Not an idiot. I've worked in psychiatry for over 30 years. People with schizophrenia go through hell with their symptoms, but they rarely, if ever, hurt anyone else. If he was floridly psychotic, noticeably, it would be different. It doesn't have to be a big deal. If the kids have to be told, tell them that their uncle has an illness that sometimes makes him act differently. Everyone sucks here. You have the moral position, but you're correct that handling it the way you have has likely caused more grief for your husband. It would have been better to have presented a united front rather than speaking on his behalf. That being said, I'm sorry y'all are in this situation. Uninviting someone based on a controlled mental illness seems very heartless. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for telling my wife not to bring up my addiction issues in front of our kids? Hi. Me and my wife, both 39, have been together for 18 years and married for 10. We also have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, both boys. I've got a really stressful job, working around 65 hours each week. However, I'm trying to reduce this or find a new job right now. And to make a long story short, I ended up using a lot of drugs to cope with this work stress and ended up reliant on coke to get through the day. I've joined support groups, and I'm trying to see a doctor about this right now, but the waiting times are taking a few months. I might end up going somewhere else, not sure yet. I told my wife about this a few months ago, and as you can probably guess, she was pretty disgusted. Don't really want to get into the details, but she is pretty much not speaking to me anymore, except if it's because of the kids. But recently, she's been involving them in it. The 8-year-old was learning about drugs in class, age appropriate of course, and how they are bad for you, and was telling his mother about what he was learning. And she told him that Daddy has done that before, so I think he's bad, which I thought was just very inappropriate. And she also told them both separately that Daddy is a very bad man, even though I have not done anything to them and I love them. Of course, I have never wronged my wife because of drugs, and even if I had, I don't think it's right to be bringing my kids into this. I told her about this, and she said that if I didn't want it, then I shouldn't have started taking drugs. Am I an idiot? Sorry to add that I'm trying to stay sober, of course. I didn't mention as I thought that would be obvious, but I'll just add it anyway. Everyone sucks here. Yes, she probably shouldn't have done it. but you definitely should be more proactive in attempting to quit. Might look elsewhere but not sure? Never wronged my wife because of drugs. You don't see it as a big enough problem to quit. You aren't the victim here. Everyone sucks here. OP, you cannot possibly really believe you didn't do wrong to your wife and your children by becoming an addict. Take responsibility. At the same time, your wife is damaging your children by telling them their dad is a bad man. Her level of contempt for you instead of support to get you clean tells me this marriage is likely over. You can try marriage counseling along with everything else. I don't think it will work. What a mess. Poor kids. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for not reimbursing my nanny for books she bought for my daughter? My daughter, Ruby, is 12. Recently, she has gotten into the original Star Trek show, as well as The Next Generation. Ruby is also a big reader and has started to collect a few of the old Star Trek books that she finds in used bookstores and thrift stores. These books usually cost anywhere from 50 cents to a couple of dollars. My nanny, Tessa, 22 female, hangs out with Ruby most days after she gets out of school. Tessa has been our nanny for over a year now, and she and Ruby get along great. Tessa is big into thrifting and will often keep an eye out for the books Ruby wants. This is not typically a problem, and Ruby always pays Tessa back for the books using her allowance. The problem occurred when Tessa went on a family vacation out west. Apparently, she went thrifting during this trip and found some books for Ruby. She texted Ruby asking her if she wanted the books, and Ruby said yes. Well, Tessa returned yesterday with a stack of about 35 books and told Ruby they cost $1.50. Ruby doesn't have this much money and tells Tessa. Tessa then asked me if I would cover the cost. I said no, as Tessa had never asked me about buying Ruby the books, nor was I aware of the conversation between the two of them. Tessa got upset, and I asked Ruby to show me the text, which made no mention of price, or even the amount of books she was buying. Tessa only said that she found some books for Ruby. Ruby is on the autism spectrum and does not read between the lines. You have to be very literal with her. Previously, Tessa has never bought Ruby more than 1 or 2 books at a time, so I told her that she should have clarified with Ruby regarding the amount, or double-checked with me before purchasing, and that I would not be paying the $1.50. Tessa said she could not return the books because they came from the thrift store. I stood firm in my decision and reiterated that she should have asked me first. Tessa left and Ruby is very upset. I know Tessa is a student and does not have a ton of money, so am I the idiot for not paying Tessa for the books? Edit. Because some people are asking, I am a single parent to Ruby, and while $50 will not make or break the bank, it is definitely an unexpected expense. I provide Tessa with an extra amount of money each month to spend on whatever she wants to do with Ruby, movies, the mall, etc. If she wanted to spend this fund on books for Ruby, that would have been totally fine, but she had already used it up. Edit 2. I definitely didn't expect this post to blow up overnight, so I'm going to add a bit more context. For those of you who are asking how I can afford a nanny for Ruby and still have $50 be a large unexpected expense, I do not pay for Tessa's services. Because Ruby is on the spectrum, she is entitled to benefits from our state, including care. The agency I work with pays Tessa. I am not involved in that process at all. Update. I appreciate everyone's valuable insights into the situation. I have seen a few comments hinting to me about the fact that I don't support my daughter's reading habit. Please know this is definitely not the case. We are both big readers and frequent patrons of our local library. I am always supportive of Ruby getting new books. I talked to Tessa and told her that I appreciate her for thinking of Ruby, apologized for the misunderstanding, and have paid her for the books. We had a chat about expectations in the future, and I don't think this will happen again. I have also talked to Ruby, and we agreed that I would hold on to the books, and she would pay me for them as she wishes. It's important to me that Ruby learns how to handle her finances appropriately, and we have decided that she will get 2 new books every week. She reads very quickly. After reading through your perspectives on the matter, I agree that it is better in the long run to lose the money and salvage the relationship between the 3 of us, and have not considered all the implications of doing otherwise. Lesson learned. You're an idiot. Jesus, you're stingy. You're blessed with a very thoughtful nanny who thinks of your child even when she's not at work. There was a misunderstanding about the cost. All you had to do to behave decently was pay her, but ask her to please confirm amounts with Ruby in the future. and that if it happens again, you won't be able to pay for it. Everyone sucks here. Tessa, for not double-checking that you'd cover the $50 for your own daughter to read, and you, for not covering a lousy $1.50 for your own daughter's reading passion. If I were you, I'd suck it up and pay the $1.50 stat, or someone is going to scoop up your really thoughtful nanny very soon. I'm thinking of hiring her, and I don't even have kids at home. I just want someone to thrift books for me. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for telling my friend she either uses the mobility scooter at the mall or stays home? A little context, said friend weighs 350 pounds. The only reason I know this is because we did that big thing on TikTok. Anyways, whenever we go to the mall, she'll continuously make us stop because she's out of breath and needs to sit. It's really annoying because it takes the time we have to shop. And not only does she make us sit, but whines about how tired she is while we're walking. It's gotten to the point my group of friends and I have been debating whether or not we should even invite her at all. So I was like, you know what would fix this? Why doesn't she just use those mobility scooters? First, she wouldn't be as tired and out of breath, and second, it would fix the time issue. So my friends and I faced her and basically told her about our idea and asked if she was down with it. She almost busted a tit over this and went on to ask us if we were saying this to call her fat. I said no, and that we were asking because we can't deal with her constant having to stop. And basically how I didn't get why she was so offended when we were just trying to help. She called us awful people and started saying how she couldn't control it because of her weight, and we just needed to deal with it. I went on to say she was being selfish and asked how it was fair to us that we waste all of our time because she makes bad food choices, and said it was either she used the scooter or she could stay home. She went on to cuss me out and hung up. All my friends think I was being nicer than they would have been, and they're completely on my side. My mom thinks I was a little harsh, but she said she'd probably would have also done the same thing. It got me thinking if I was the actual idiot here. So, am I an idiot? Not an idiot. I generally hate shopping to the point I will often run from shop to shop. If someone was slowing me down, I would either leave them behind or they would have to find a way to catch up. You are far nicer than me. Not an idiot. I get where you are coming from. It does sound annoying having to wait for her and hear her constant bitching. If I were you, I might tell her instead that we won't slow down for her. How she handles that is her concern. If she needs to stop and sit for a while, she will be doing that solo and will have to catch up and find us after, or get a scooter and keep up with us that way.